All right. Well, here we have three-time Olympian, Drew Cullen. Thank you for coming, Drew, especially 4 days out.
Yeah, anytime, man.
So I think there's a lot to talk about, especially going into the Olympia 4 days from now. Um, so first of all, like, how are you feeling coming to peak week?
So obviously, a lot of people ask me, "Hey, how do you feel?" Mentally, I'm confident. I'm excited, knowing that it's closer. All the work that I've done, 16 weeks, 15 weeks, 12 weeks, 8 weeks, it's all compounding into the look now. And when you're that far out, you feel like it's too far away to really think it's real. But the closer you get when the look comes together and you know that you're beating your best, it's all adding up and then it does feel real. So the confidence is high, but ultimately you just feel like shit. And if you don't feel like that, then you're probably not doing something right. So it's hard for anybody that hasn't been to this point to really understand it. Like my parents or like friends that don't compete or whoever it might be, you, you can't understand it. Like you don't remember pain when you're not currently in it anymore, because when you're in your off
Mhm.
season you want to cut, and then when you're cutting all you want to do is eat, and then in the off season you're force feeding and then you feel miserable that way, and then when you're cutting you're not eating enough, you're doing more cardio, so you're miserable that way. So you never really get that medium, but that's part of the sport. And like I said, man, I'm excited now that it's closer. It's going to feel even more real when I get to Vegas tomorrow. But yeah, man, I'm excited. And the biggest thing for me is always bringing my best look. Um, it's always about beating my previous best. And I'm not just saying that, like, I know it's cliche. A lot of people will say, I just want to bring my best. It's like you could say it, but doing it, every prep, you're digging a little bit deeper. So it doesn't necessarily get any easier when you're constantly trying to break that previous threshold and moving the goalpost and pushing forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. And especially I feel like for you, you've kind of backed it up because you've had a pretty long career, and it seems like you've just continually gotten better the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, let's talk about this year's prep specifically because yeah, we've actually scheduled this interview a couple of times, and you weren't feeling up for it because of this prep was getting pretty tough. So I want to hear about what makes this year's prep different than the other years, and what's made it so hard this time.
So all the other years, I always believed in structure and keeping balance and, having healthy relationships and still keeping my mind busy. And I still do that. I go to movies with Maria. Um, I'll talk to family. But this prep, I felt like I was forcing myself to do a lot of those things. And this sport is selfish. And we all know that. Um, you could still be respectful. You don't got to be a dick or an asshole to people. But I know how I am. And I think some things are better to take myself out of it and really focus on myself for that time being instead of appealing to other people. Because one, I know it's temporary. And two, if I'm forcing myself to do things, it's going to cause unnecessary stress. And I felt like I was really forcing myself, mainly because this is the lowest my food has ever been in my entire career of 10 years, any prep I've ever done. Highest my cardio has ever been, playing with some different supplements and PEDs. And I'm honest about it. I'm not going to say specifically what, but obviously this sport, you do take enhancements and, it's part of the game, but some of these things shouldn't be talked about. But for me specifically, there's a lot of different things that I've been doing, both, physically with, like I said, cardio and training and higher reps and more volume still with heavy weights, more fatiguing and exhausting the muscle with time under tension, more cardio, different approaches like just low carbs. And sometimes, when your carbs are high, you might actually be lower in weight because the stress hormone
Hmm.
is lower. So I was actually getting to a point to where my cardio was over an hour a day. My carbs were very, very low.
What is low
And
for you?
so typically in my off season, I'm around 400 grams of rice per meal, and that's 6 meals a day, sometimes seven. And I'm one of those guys that I have very thin skin and a high metabolism. So I'm always going to be pretty dry for the most part. So I'm
Mhm.
always going to have like striations in my limbs. If I put on fat or a little bit of water, it'd be around my midsection or my lower back. But just for reference, that is a high day in my off season. Now, as far as the preps that I've done in the past, it's been around 270 grams of rice per meal. And some people
That's
think,
so
oh,
high.
well, that's great. That sounds awesome. But for me, my 270 grams is like compared to other people's 100 grams, just
Mhm.
because of how my metabolism is. Now, this prep, I was 200 grams of rice for 4 meals. Fifth meal was 150 grams of rice, and the last meal was no carbs. It was just 5 ounces of beef. And also my protein was 5 ounces per meal. So that's lower than, what I used to do. So that was 6 ounces per meal, 6 times a day. So I'm actually short a whole 6 ounces pretty
Of
much, just
protein.
taking that
Mhm.
one because it adds up. So protein was a little bit lower, just because I was over the weight cap and started to gain into the show. So when I actually cut the carbs and up the cardio, I was actually heavier for the next 3 or 4 days because of
Okay.
stress. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the higher the cardio, the lower the food, your body's just going to start to stress because then you're more hungry. Uh, the blood sugar drops
Mhm.
more. You're not sleeping as much. So you're not
Mhm.
recovering. You're not getting the rest that you need. So your body's going to hold a little bit.
So do you think that's actually like a better, because I think that's like always like kind of what the debate is, right? Like how low do you go without sacrificing like sleep or performance or things like that? So
Yeah.
how did you and like Ariel decide that like this was the best strategy, or is it collaborative? I think that's another thing I would like to get into with your coaching relationship with Ariel.
Yeah. So more or less, everything's a learning experience. Every prep that you do, everything is going to be different. Your body is changing, your muscle maturity is changing, your metabolism is changing. Um, for me, the weight cap is the biggest problem. Uh, I wouldn't even say it's a problem. It's just something that I had to really pay attention to hit my mark. And it's not
Mhm.
just about making the weight cap. If I'm waking up 204 or 205 and my weight cap's 202, it seems so close, but I'm going to bed around 213, 214, sometimes even 215. And I'm a drifter. If I get 8, 9 hours of sleep, I'm waking up 10 pounds later, but I'm also sweating and I'm peeing a lot because that's when my body really digests everything during that fast. So I'm
Mhm.
waking up at that super flat, super empty after I go to the bathroom in the morning and everything. So I need to sleep and be completely fasted to get to that. And then after one meal, I'm already like 208. So that would actually be 6 pounds over the cap. So it's definitely a different approach, but everything is a learning experience. It's just the variables that you can control, and you got to monitor it and taking your weight every day and really looking in the mirror and seeing the look. And the heavier I was, it was almost like I was even tighter and I was better because that shows that I added a lot of tissue. Even when
Mhm.
I was flat, I didn't look as flat because the muscles have the tissue added. It wasn't just fueled by glycogen.
So once you get past a certain point, do you feel like you're having to just like burn off muscle at some point? You know how like Urs like going into classic?
Yeah. So instead of taking away from the things I need to improve on, I try to change body composition. So I don't train legs. And I have pretty fairly
Yeah, you
good
have good
legs,
legs.
even now without
Yeah.
training them for over a year. I think I'm getting indirect movements from just doing like treadmill on an incline, things like that. When I walk, I really focus on the glute flexion and kind of put my knees up a little bit more and getting the step. Obviously, with my injury in my leg, I really focus on getting the blood flow all around hips and everything because I have nerve damage, and it does help. But I think I'm getting a lot of blood flow and indirect. It's not training, but it's indirect stimulation. You're going to get off. You're going to feel vascular in your legs. All your blood flow is there.
Right,
So, I
but you're
mean, it's
trying
maintained.
to
Yeah.
atrophy it too, right? Because you're trying to actually atrophy your legs a little bit so you can add that extra little
Which
bit to
I
balance.
did, which I did. It messes with my head because I'm a guy about balance. And I always had a lot of confidence after training legs because it's one of the most difficult things to do.
Mhm.
And when you're done training legs, you feel very satisfied. You relax, you sleep good. It's like, wow, like that, it feels good to a point, like that soreness that
Mhm.
just feels good and relieving. And then you get back into it, and it's impressive. Legs are impressive because I think it's the main muscle that a lot of guys lack outside of bodybuilding. If they're just going to the gym, it's neglected a
Mhm.
lot. That's why people say, oh, he misses leg day. My legs have downsized and I put a lot of mass in my back. I would say my front has still improved slightly, but the main focus this year was my back. And ever since Toronto, my back has improved so much. I saw Steve Weinberger this past week, Friday. Mind you, I was on 2 hours of sleep. I didn't say any of this to him. I don't make excuses. Wasn't sleeping good that night. I had to wake up at around 5 because we were going to drive out there. And If we go too late, it's just 4 hours of stuck traffic, bumper to bumper, past New York City over that bridge. So still 2.5 hours if you're going to catch a little bit of traffic, but we planned it early. And, just like I said, I wasn't sleeping, 2 hours of sleep, like I said. And we went out there and I trained, and it was about an hour and 15-minute session. Really got a good pump, did a little bit of abs, did a little bit of chest and shoulders just to get like kind of like a pre-pump as if I was going to go on stage. He
Mhm.
came over, he looked at me. And Steve is very direct and very blunt. He's not going to tell you look good if you don't look good. If you look bad, he's going to say, hey, you look like shit. Don't do the show. I know you haven't been in front of Steve, but it's something that a lot of people, if they get the opportunity, just remember the sport is about criticism, and he's going to critique you because you're asking for a critique. So when I
Mhm.
went in front of him, I went through my front pose, keep your chest up. Okay. Just small little adjustments, hit the back pose. He's like, let me show you something. So he was kind of telling me to, arch my chest up without moving back, stay more upright, and then squeeze all the way down from your upper back to your lower lats. My problem was I was always flexing my upper back and leaning back so much it was disengaging my lower back. So a lot of the upper back looked more dominant. And when the upper
That
back
thickness
looks
to the
dominant,
bottom.
it makes the lower look weaker. And then you start getting that skin lines. No matter how lean you are, you're still going to get it if you lean back. It's just the
Yeah.
elasticity in your skin. He fixed it. And I didn't post this video. I feel like some things just need to be left unsaid and unshown until it's on stage. But like I said, it was my seventh low day. It was 2 hours of sleep. And he looked at me, he said, you look great. This is the best I've ever seen you. And
That's awesome.
that to me was very reassuring, because in prep, and I even told him this, I'm like, you look in the mirror and you feel like you're not good enough, feel like you could be leaner. And he agreed. He goes, if you don't feel that way, then you're not going to have anything to push for. And there's always
Mhm.
time left on the clock. And you got to keep pushing, because some guys will think that they're good enough. And there are delusional people. And it's no offense to anybody personally, but there are people that feel like they're better than they actually are. And then
Mhm.
there's people that feel like they're not good enough. And a lot of the guys that feel like they're not good enough, Ryan Terry has told me, he looks in the mirror, he sees his flaws, and he wants bigger biceps. He wants this, and he's number one with a perfect score in the world for the last 2 years. A lot of these top guys, they're at the top because they push.
Or has mentality.
They
Yeah.
started from adversity, or they started as being an underdog. They always had something to prove. They always wanted to move up. And I was one of those guys, because I was told I'll never be able to win a show. And I didn't until I won a show. And when I won a show, it's like, you're never going to go pro. And it took me 7 national shows, and then I went pro. Oh, well, you're just going to be a flop in the pro league. They only gave you that because you were just doing all these national shows, and they just wanted to stop seeing you. It was always an excuse from some naysayer, but it was multiple people. I was known as
Mhm.
the guy at nationals, as the fourth place guy. Hey, that's the guy that takes fourth place. So that, I always let it fuel me, and I always kind of laughed it off and walked away. But I would go into the gym pissed, put on my headset, and just visualize the goal. And that was getting my hand raised. When I went pro, I got second, and I was actually mad. I got right back to my diet, didn't even do a cheat meal. I didn't enjoy it because I didn't win. I thought that all these shows were going to accumulate to be me being Mr. USA, which is the most prestigious national show, in my opinion. And Mr. USA just kind of sounds good. And you only get that title if you're the overall winner from there.
Yeah.
And, I didn't get that. And it was upsetting, because then I have no other chances, because I am a pro. The objective was there. You get the pro in your bio. It feels great, but it wasn't what I wanted. And I put in all that work. And then after that, I was like, well, he's never going to win a pro show. Took me another 3 years, and then I won a pro show. And then, well, everybody was off. That's why he won it. So then I won another one. And then I doubled up on Toronto, and oh, he's never going to crack top 15 at the Olympia. And guess what? Just like everything else in my career, there's been a pattern here. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Until you do something, then people will move the goalposts and say, well, you're not going to do this. And then you do that. So then it turns into a top 10 or a top 8 or a top 5. Perfect example. Andre Ferguson, most winningest men's physique pro of all time. He has every achievement, and based on the scales, he's the second greatest of all time. If you break down all the points that I believe it
Do
was
you
one of these pages that did.
do you agree with those skills?
I do, based on how they are. So depending on the tier of the show with the points, and the Mr. Olympia having obviously the 50 points, it's the only title he doesn't have. But my point is, just because he's been second. He doesn't have a Mr. Olympia title, so all his accolades are removed because he doesn't have that.
Mm.
But if he did, like Banks, well, he only had one. He's a one-hit wonder. So my point
Yeah.
is, you get what I'm saying?
Well,
And
yeah, I get
then and then you get into a battle of all the Mr. Olympias if they got multiple. Who's the greatest of all time? And then it's still subjective to a lot of people. So
yeah.
a lot of it
It,
comes down to preference.
it does come down to preference, and it's just like the audience, like people kind of view it as entertainment. So like you can be the best in the world. Like look at LeBron James. Like he's literally, the best by a mile, and he still gets
Yeah.
criticism all the time.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is politically related as well. So, for example, I stay out of that. I personally don't want to know what people say because I'm going to have an opinion, so I retract myself from that. But a lot of people will say somebody sucks at a sport just because of a certain view that they have outside of the sport, which
Mm.
I don't think is right. It is what it is. But politics, people can use it as an excuse. I never used it as an excuse. Does it exist? Yeah. But I think it puts a cap on you pushing harder when you think, oh, politics, what's the point
It's
of
not
trying
helpful
then?
to, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's an excuse.
Um,
Like, oh, I lost because, politics. You hear it all the time on Instagram and all these guys. And I tell my clients, you could talk to me. You could talk to your girl if you want to complain and say this is bullshit. Don't go online and do it.
don't post it.
Don't
Yeah.
ever do it online. It's going to be a bad reflection of me. It's going to be a bad reflection of you. And that's not the sportsmanship. If you disagree with
Yeah.
it, that's fine. Always have good sportsmanship on stage. It's the one thing that I always preach when I didn't get what I wanted. You smile and you raise your hand because everybody pays attention to that. And guess what? The show's already over. The next week, nobody's going to care about what you did in the past. It's going to be like, okay, use it as a stepping stone to get back to it and fuel you to learn and get better, and then potentially win the next one or just move up at least with a better look.
Yeah, and I think the judges will remember it too. If you have a bad reaction on stage and you're showing because basically you're saying they're wrong. If you're complaining or make a face or something, so I'm sure they'll remember that too.
Let me tell you something. If somebody wins a show, the judges, yeah, they'll remember it, but they just so many shows to the point to where they might forget a lot of guys. But if somebody walks off stage or causes a scene or does something disrespectful, they will always remember you no matter how many shows they judge. Because you don't see it often, but when you do see it, it's like that's the guy that walked off stage, and it's a bad impression and a bad reflection of the sport. Because the judges, everybody will listen to the fans and the people 50 rows back, but everybody has that right, but the judges have it wrong. Like the guys that have been doing this for years and years and years, and they don't get enough respect as they deserve because it is subjective to a lot of people. They don't know what they're looking at unless you're there in living color. And you and I know that when you're there in person, it is completely different. I'm one of those guys to where, yeah, I could take pictures on Instagram that look freaky, but I have been told that I look much better in person. My photographer yesterday said the pictures don't even do you justice. And that's typically how a lot of the guys at the pro level are. They can look good on Instagram, but it's how you look next to somebody else because it's about exposing other people's flaws. And that's something that I do really well with my structure and proportions.
Yeah, that and the live stream quality is just very different from seeing it in person.
Even a high definition
Lighting.
picture, living
Yeah.
color and seeing it in 3D versus 2D. You look at your maps on your phone, right? And it's like 2D versus 3D on the iPhone. It's a big difference. But
Yeah.
looking at a house in real life, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. So that being said, what is your expectation for this year at the Olympia? Because you said you've kind of moved that post for yourself every year. So what is your expectation this year?
So this is it's always been a difficult question for me because I feel like there's no right answer, but I'm just going to be as honest as I can. I've always been very realistic with myself. I trust and confide in my work. I trust and confide of everything that I have been through in my life that I have overcame that would break a lot of other people. I know that I could focus on something and show improvements very, very quickly, as I shown in the past with a lot of Olympias. I'm always improving. I always peak really well. Um, I'm focusing on what I need to improve, not just getting big in the gym. I'm really dissecting and learning, and I'm very calculated with my approaches to the gym and muscles and contractions. And I've improved my back immensely. And I'm always listening. I'm always getting feedback. It's not about kissing ass and going to see these judges. It's truly about learning so you can be better because there's always a little tweak that you could add that may be the difference in 10 placings. So realistically, it's always about beating my best look. But if we're going to break down the placings, the past 2 years at the Olympia, my only two Olympias, I was the exact same placing, center of third call out, which is first call out was 8, second call out was 8, and I was center of third. So that would put me
That's 17.
theoretically 17th, 18th, but it's not official because anything over 16
Right.
is like an obsolete. So I don't have an official placement. The goal is always to be in the top 15.
Mhm.
Ultimately, I don't want to shoot too far because these are things that if you have an expectation, it causes stress, it causes
Mhm.
pressure. And I focus just on what I can control. I know there's a lot of guys, everybody looks great. A lot of guys have improved. I just feel like I improved a lot more than a lot of people. I had a one and done show this year, so I qualified for Toronto and I sat down and I just focused from there. Had a vacation with my girl for the first time out of the country. We went to Aruba, and it was really nice to have a reset that way. And I've never done that before. And I came right to Universe afterwards to see you, and
Yeah.
my beard was all grown out, and I was dark, and
You're dark as dark as me almost. Yeah.
yeah. So I was able to enjoy that for the first time and not work out for a week, not follow a diet for a week. And it was nice. It was a nice little reset. And then I feel like my body rebounded even quicker. And I'm just in a really, really good spot, both physically and mentally. Even though the prep was hard and I have had my ups and downs, there's a hell week,
Mhm.
actually like a hell month, but I managed it pretty well. And like I said, my goal is to just get a place and move up from last year.
Yeah.
And I'm very confident with that. I'm not in control of that, but I improved my posing. I improved everything. And a lot of people will say, oh, he needs to be fuller. He's so peeled, but if he was fuller, sacrifice a little bit of conditioning to be fuller. I didn't sacrifice any conditioning. My conditioning is probably the same, if not better. And I am bigger tissue wise and I am fuller because of that. And I have more fullness with the same conditioning. I didn't sacrifice anything with the improvements where I needed to have them. My back is more symmetrical, more balanced. The posing is better. It's showing off more of the strengths with the tweaks that Steve gave me. And, just adding in some abs this year and really contracting the abs and focusing on the obliques because now it's becoming a very, I would say, an ab dominant show ever since Ali was second last year.
It
And
is,
I
but that's your strong suit anyway. You're a
yeah,
good
I have a good core, but I'm like, you know what? Just because I have something good that I never trained, I'm going to
double
train
down.
it, make it better. So I
Mhm.
did that. But realistically, like I said, man, I'd love to go to finals. It's not this year, not next year, not it will happen. It will happen. I will keep moving up from there because every time that I wanted to win a pro show, the moment that I was like, you know what? I'm just going into Chicago Pro. If I get a top 3 again, it is what it is. There's a lot of good guys. I came into that show blazing with probably my best peak ever. It was my best peak ever. That in Olympia last year. And I won it. What a perfect score. So that to me shows me when you have no expectation, that's when I feel like God rewards you. And I'm not, a preacher or anything and super, super big on anything like that. But, when I almost lost my life through my gunshot, it made me think in a certain way that there is a bigger journey for me. That's why I'm here. And things happen at the right time. And that happened at the right time. And this year, I feel like I really believe it in my heart that no pressure, no stress. Something great is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back to like what we're talking about before too, where it's just like not necessarily productive to put expectations on yourself because ultimately it is out of your control what the outcome is. So when you put that pressure, then all you're doing is adding stress, which probably just ruins the outcome a little bit.
Some guys can't control it, but through experience and me learning and actually seeing, I've learned to cope a little bit better. There's days that you're going to still stress out, but
Mhm.
especially with the weight cap, like, what if I don't make the weight? I had a dream last
Yeah.
night, like I didn't make the weight, and they're like, "Oh, you can't compete." I'm like, it's just a thought. I wake up and I'm like, yeah, okay, like I'm good. I'm just gonna manipulate water or talk to Ariel. There'll be something that we figure out, and it's gonna happen. But I can't control those things. The variables I control are pretty much going to be my tan, my pump up, listening, making sure that everything's on track, getting my meals in, and I'm living every day hour by hour to pretty much meal to meal and doing what I have to do in the time being.
Yeah. Speaking about the weight cap just made me think of the classic physique situation, which I feel like is really sucks for Mike because I feel
Yeah.
like there's way too much attention on this and like everyone's been doing this for years. But yeah, I hope that doesn't affect him too much or the other
I
classic
don't
guy.
think it will. He's not addressing it for a reason. I don't think it will. I think that people just blow up and it's coming out later and everybody's catching the fire of it now and making
Yeah.
coverage so they could get views. And it is what it is, but I don't pay no mind to it.
So as far as so I want to go back to what we said talked about earlier, which was that you said that this prep was different also in the way that you were like training and doing cardio.
Yeah.
So how is it different, and what exactly, like how involved is Cuts with your training? Like is he like having you send him videos? Is he having you like is he constantly changing volume week to week? Like how involved is he with that side of it of things?
So I typically just tell him like how my pump is and I read my body. And Nick Walker's been helping me a lot out here as well. He convinced me to go to this LCM gym, which is an exclusive gym.
Oh
They
yeah,
got
that's the one
tons
that I
of
went
back.
with Jordan
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, they got
This one
tons
gym.
of really, really good equipment. Yeah, the owner Leo says hi.
Oh
He
yeah.
had your card and everything, and he's
Nice.
gonna come to Olympia and stop by the booth the day that I'm there
Awesome.
too. So we'll hang out. Uh, but yeah, man, it's there's so many different machines, and you go off of a plan, and there's a lot of things that might be on a plan that maybe you just don't feel, and then you're pushing yourself to do it, and it's like, oh, I don't feel it. It's about connecting and then really feeling it and doing the reps and chasing the pump, but at the same time having the time under tension, still having the weight heavy to where you're pushing yourself. Right now we're not going to grow any more tissue.
Mm.
It's more so about depleting when you need to deplete, and then keeping some energy reps in reserve. And Ariel gives me like the sets and rep counts and the movements. And there's certain things that I might move around because somebody's on something. But going to this new gym, there's a lot of new things that I've been trying, and I'm just kind of reading my body. The main thing was doing reps 12 to 15 with heavier weight and just really
Mhm.
focusing on negatives and squeezing. And it takes a lot more out of you and it burns a lot more. But I always thought that the burn was like burning that fat and just bringing out detail. And that's what I let fuel me. The more I burn, the more detail I'm going to have. And that was my mindset my entire career. And that's why I truly think that, I have the detail that I do and the lines that I do and the look that I have from training that way. Used to be a power lifter, used to be heavy reps for low weight, used to be low weight for high reps. Now I'm doing heavy weight for a decent amount of reps, not too high, and no drop sets. It might be on one or two for like shoulders, but my shoulders are already a strong point. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely pushing myself a little bit differently, and it's definitely harder. But going into this new gym the past few weeks has definitely helped my mindset immensely, man. Like walking in there, I had a fire lit like no other, and just really put me back into my early days of walking into a gym and just feeling that fire.
Well, yeah, that was I really like that gym. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Um, so as you go through prep, do you like lower volume as you get closer, or is it something that you just adjust your rep ranges, and like how does your volume? How do you manage like getting as you get more and more like dug into the hole and fatigued as you get into prep?
So obviously my off season got more fat, got more water. My joints are more lubricated from not being on hardeners and things like that. So I'm able to pull a lot more weight and actually feel safer. Now, when I'm in prep from about 12 weeks to, I would say 4 weeks, I'm still pushing really heavy weight. And the reps are like, 3 work-in sets of 10, and
Hmm.
then maybe a back off on depending on what it is. Um, And then I would say 3 weeks to about a week out, reps go a little bit higher. Weight might drop a little bit, but it's just powering through on fumes at that point. Because, like I said, you're not going to build
You're
tissue.
not building anything.
Um, so it's not necessarily depletion, but you're still trying to maintain that same weight with a little bit more volume, but more focusing on the form because there's been a lot of guys last year, Zach. Savoie. He tore his pec. He's a good friend of mine. I've been seeing a lot of these guys on Instagram from doing like hammer strengths with their elbows out. And even if they have good form, when you do a lot of weight, things are bound to happen. Look at power lifters, no matter how good their form is. Ronnie Coleman had really good form, bro. But that weight, human joints can't withstand that. Like the human bones may adapt, but ligaments and joints and
They
your
grow much slower.
tendons take a beating no matter how big your muscles are. We're still human. There's a reason we don't lift as much as gorillas and apes and people that have, or animals that have tendons like crazy, right? It's the reason we can't run as fast as certain things.
Mm. And at that
Um,
point, you're so dry and depleted too, so that also puts you at much higher risk.
yeah, and I cut out caffeine 2 weeks ago, so that's another thing that added to my death of energy.
Energy,
So
yeah.
that's another thing. I couldn't even think straight. A couple weeks ago, I was not able to do the podcast, and I just wanted to save you um, the strain. And like I said, I apologize for that. I just was not in the right mind. I even talked to the VMI brand that I'm with, and there were certain things I just was not able to physically do. And, I took a step away from the podcast with NPR to focus. And at the same time, I just could not think straight, man. I'm sitting here and I'm just like, next meal, blood sugar's dropping. I can't focus. And I can't even do a breakdown or a review on a show.
Yeah, I mean, depleting plus caffeine withdrawals is probably that's like double difficult.
But training for the last week, so going into peak week, my split is pretty much the same, but that's where it's just training light, just going through the movements
Mhm.
and just stimulating the muscle, getting a good pump, feeling good, leaving with some energy in the tank, hitting your cardio, and then getting out, preventing
When is
injury,
your
preventing inflammation.
when is your last day of training typically? So the show's Saturday morning, so like when's the last day of
So
training?
usually Thursday is the last day that I'll go to the gym and train, and then Friday will be like band work in the room just to get some blood flow because I'm going to be eating a lot more food, just kind of have it circulate for data, so I could show Ariel like, hey, how do you feel? He'll touch
Mhm.
me or like see how tight things are because usually you could do like a touch with the hand and see how dry you are. You could see if your skin's changing color from hydration, if you got water under the skin
Mhm.
subcutaneously. It's pretty in depth. But I know you also asked me about Ariel and how hands on he is. He's as hands on as you want to be. There's certain guys that listen to everything that he does. There's certain guys that he might need to, you know, get more out of and tell them what to do because maybe they're not following things. But I've always been a guy that, if he told me to eat 3 bricks and a, rock, I would do that. That's just
Mhm.
the type of person that I am. But yeah, I follow everything. But he confides and trusts in my decisions, and if I feel something, I feel it. If I don't, I don't. He asked me a lot like, hey, how do you feel with this look? How do you feel after that high carb day yesterday versus today? Did you feel like you were tired? How did your digestion feel? Did you feel a little bloated? Okay, we're gonna split up the 6 meals that were higher in carbs, the 7 meals that are a little bit lower in carbs, and then he'll give me my training split. If I ask him for a new workout, then he'll give me one every like 8 to 12 weeks. Olympia, I kind of keep it very specific because I find what works. Um, but yeah, you don't gotta change it unless it's broken. It's not broken, so there's no reason to change these things because they're making the improvements and people see it. I don't know if you've seen my back updates, but
Yeah, no, I have.
it's definitely improved, and I'm happy for it, and a lot of it came from the training.
Yeah. When you so with a coach like Ariel, and I imagine this is also someone like Stefan, like Boss of Outlaw, when they have so many clients that are at the same show, does that stress you out? Like knowing that they don't have as much attention for you, or do you still trust that like he's able to give all these people what they need?
So it never stresses me out. He always makes time, and I don't even know how he does this. Like I said, he's like a descendant from God, man. Like I do not know how this guy does it. He'll be remembering my exact protocol or a meal that I had last year for a certain prep, and he's not even on his phone looking as he's on his phone giving somebody else a protocol. He has 2 phones. He's on one. He's talking. He's holding the conversation. It's insane. He'll bring us to the room. But after prejudging, he'll do his rounds. I know Toronto, there was 3 of us in the top 3. So
Hmm.
it was me, Shun, and Chevy. And, I knew I won after prejudging. So, you get that feeling, but then you don't know for sure. But I wasn't questioning
Yeah.
myself because I saw the pictures, but that's true. And, he was talking to Chevy, he's talking to Shun, he's going around and he's like, yeah, I'm going to talk to you because he doesn't want anything to break, like if he's talking to all of us at the same time, because he wants to break it down and just keep it between us. And it was the same thing when I did Chicago Bro. He's like, yeah, you got this. And he had 5 guys in the show. He had like Nick Coe, he had Ja,
Mhm.
he had Chevy. He had a lot of guys. He'll tell me after the fact, but he's just very straight up and very honest. And he doesn't want to cause conflict because some guys can't handle the criticism. Some guys can't handle being told the truth. They're going to get in their heads. And I'm just one of those guys that he knows that it's cool with me. And I've been doing this for a long time, man. I mean, it doesn't matter if another guy does the show. It doesn't matter if another guy beat me or if another guy didn't. Like I'm not Ariel's top guy. I'd say I'm
Mhm.
like top 5, but I'm not his top guy. But I don't compete to beat those guys. I never competed to beat a specific person. there are people that I don't want to beat me, but yeah, I never did it to beat a specific person. I did it to have myself validated that I am good enough because I put in all this work and all my hard work is being paid off. We suffer, we push ourselves to the brink of literally like the ultimate, self-suffering. And if you didn't get rewarded for it ever, it's like, why would I do this? And I have gotten rewarded. I failed more times than I've ever won. I've won 3 times in, 10 years of 45 shows. If you break that down, it's very low percentage. But to me, that one win in Chicago made up for all those years of everything that I put into it, the money, the heartache, the sacrifices and day-to-day life, all things that I wasn't able to do with family, friends. Um, but it all made it worth it for me. It built my career.
Yeah, yeah, and like you did have that like steady progression too. Like I felt like
Mhm.
that was probably reinforcing that year after year you were seeing that difference in your physique and you were getting better and
Didn't
better
come
placing.
easy. Yeah, it never
Yeah,
came easy to me. So that's the one. Same with Ryan Terry. He was the
yeah.
underdog. Nobody had him winning the year he won. Then he won. Now everybody
No,
has him
he
winning.
went like
So you
he
see
had
what I
like
mean?
seventh the year before, right? That was probably his like
Yeah.
worst placing the year before, right before.
He's been every placement in the top 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, and he's been in the Olympia since probably year one of men's physique or year
Yeah.
one or two.
I think he's got 10 jackets. This will be his 11th.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But I guess that kind of brings up the next topic, which is next year the Olympia will start looking a little different um, with the new qualification. So, what do you think about the qualification in general? And then next we'll kind of go into how do you think those people who are, I mean, probably about half the athletes will not make it next year. So, um, but we'll start with like, how do you feel in general?
For me personally, well, general, I think it's a good idea because it's been
Yeah.
a lot of guys for a lot of years. And not to offend anybody, but there's a lot of guys at the Olympia that go that are going to be last call out and they never move up because they qualified at some show that probably had weak competition in another
Yeah.
country or something like that. That's why there's specifically 5 shows that you're going to qualify for. And those 5 shows are usually on lock because the top Olympians or Olympia champs are doing them. So you got those 5. You got the 3 from the previous year that those 3 are probably going to qualify at one of those other shows anyways. So it's taking
Mhm.
a qualification. So 8 would be the max for that, and then 20 in the point standing. So you got 33. So if there's 78 this year, yeah, it's going to be less than half. And generally, a lot of guys right now that are in the top 5, I think they're going to have to push more because you're going to have the guys that are in the top 3s consistently that are going to show up and they're going to be wrecking those points. But guys that are just making the bottom of the first call out, I think a lot of their careers are going to be over, to be honest with you. And that's it is what it is. It's like survival of the fittest at this point. If you're
Mhm.
not good enough, you shouldn't be able to make it to Olympia. Olympia's prestigious, is the best of the best. And, it's going to be a lot of guys last years.
Yeah, no. And then those people who are like right on the edge. So let's say 33 to 40 athletes. It's probably like the end of what fifth call out or so. So those guys who are in that fourth, fifth, sixth call out, what strategy do you think would work best for those guys to be able to make it back?
If they do a lot of shows early in the year, they might have a better chance. Potentially moving up because second place, I think it's 5 points, and then they kind of just drops off. So they got to consistently be in a top 3. And if you're in the Olympia, I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have been in that call out. Like look at Ali, the way that he moved up. Look at Mehdi. Look at Alex Toplin. Like it could just be an off showing at the Olympia. But the guys that are consistently in that last call out that maybe qualified in a show that's overseas somewhere that people don't really know if they're going to have to come in the States and compete. And, the IFBB is made in the USA. Like, I like that they have international shows and they're still going to have them. But the shows that are going to count the most are going to be here, and it's going to encourage a lot of the guys to compete more, and even the top guys can encourage me to compete more. And for me personally, I love it because this year being one and done, it was kind of like, okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah,
Took a vacation, all of that, and it is what it is, and it was useful. But I love to compete. I always have, and I've always done shows and have gotten better because I always collect data, especially with this weight cap. You always learning. And for me, it was a season that, yeah, it was nice to be one and done. Of course, the year I'm one and done, they get rid of it. But I'm gonna have to do the gauntlets like I have in the past, and there's no difference
try and get
because
two.
I've always done it.
Yeah, yeah, and then I guess if you have two pro wins, then you're automatically in two, right? So You just got to try and get two
Toronto, Chicago.
next year. That's the plan. All right.
The,
Well, you
the
guys heard
two
it now.
shows, the two shows that made me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
You
love
know,
that you.
we're going for the triple threat in Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the people telling me online? They're like, yeah, you're the mayor of Toronto. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't say that. I just won the men's physique, but I know I'm tied with Mehdi. And I told Mehdi, I go, he's on a roll this year too. And he's already qualified. So I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm like, bro, let's do it. He's a friend of mine. He's always gave me such great advice when I've been so low at shows. I remember when I was doing the gauntlet in 23, being so close but so far, came out second to Daniel Ammons, my first show after taking a real off season with Ariel. And that was a win for me. I went to Ruth Chris with my mom, got a cheesecake that said congrats on it. It's like, oh, did you
Oh,
win? I go, no, I got second. I'm like, it was my first ever top three with the call out coming back. And, it was just an experience. And Daniel was a guy that I've always looked up to in the sport. And I just remember him winning Texas and being in that talk of the top three in that 1 year that he beat Andre Diu. Just such a sick physique, such a great person, great guy, good heart. He's dealt with a lot of adversity. We relate on a lot of things. I love the guy. He's awesome. And just being on that stage with him and sharing it with him, it was fun. It wasn't about competition. It was fun,
yeah.
And then after that, I'm like, oh, I got second. And then you get that mindset of, oh, the next one I'm going to get. And I was third. And then I was second or third again. And then I went to Alabama and I ended center and I ended up getting third. It was Victor Ramirez and Rodriguez beat me. And that's when I was like, okay, now it's just because you did good at one, but your look improved doesn't mean you're going to
Yeah.
be
Automatically
consistent
go up.
because some guys just show up, and it's
Yeah.
whether you think they're better or not, the judges saw it. They preferred their
Mhm.
looks. I just kept going. And after that show, when I was really down, Mehdi came up to me and goes, hey, listen, man, this show does not define you. You're gonna get there just like me. And I beat Mehdi at that show. And he was a guy he was winning. He was, getting a second call out, or it was just always like up and down. And, look at him now. He's on a roll. He's back in the conversation because then the people see you winning. They want to throw confetti. But when
Mm.
you're not doing as well, there's kind of like, okay, whatever. So you do well. And then everybody's your cousin.
Yeah. Mehdi had a tough year this year too, getting back to Olympia. He had a lot of seconds, right? He had
Yeah.
second in Texas and second in Atlanta, and then he finally got it. And
Yeah. No, he's a competitor. And that's what I love.
yeah.
And he's very quiet on social media for the most part. Like he'll post stuff, but he's very educated. He's very logical. He gives good advice, and he's not just about himself. He drops a lot of gems that help other people, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's what I love, and that's why I do NPR. That's why I do these podcasts. I want people to get an insight of how I think, and what I have done in the sport and what I have done in life. In case somebody's going through some sort of adversity to where they have this mental barrier or burden that doesn't allow them to go to the next level, how to get over it or how to cope with it or how to deal with it. Like I try to share that because I see a lot of myself in younger guys that are motivated. Maybe they're skinnier and they don't have confidence. They have low self-esteem. And I had that. That's why I got into bodybuilding.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes to show that also your ceiling could be a lot different than you think it is. Like, even though it took you like a while to turn pro, then people might be like, oh, if it took him that long to turn pro, then he's probably not going to be an Olympian.
Yeah,
But then now here you are, like a 3 times Olympian. So it's like, even these steady progressions and small changes in consistency can like really do a lot for your trajectory.
absolutely, man.
So as far as I know, you have some new sponsors.
Yep.
So let's talk about those a little bit. So you talked about VMI, right?
Yeah. So VMI Sports nutrition company, absolutely love their products, man. And I'm not just saying that. They sent me a care package, and it was their protein, their KXR, which is a pre-workout. It's a higher stim. I cut that out now, but I was using it last week, and it just got me through a lot of rough days. But then after my workout, I come home, I would crash, and it's like you want to take more because it gives you that edge, but obviously you can't because you're going to be up all night. Amazing. It's not like one of those mineral vitamin flavor, like makes you burp as you're working out, or it dissolves nice in water. It doesn't give you cold sweats. We all had pre-workouts that do that. They got like a glycerol pump and flow little shot.
Mhm.
I like that too. It's not a lot of liquid. You could just throw it down. It has some calories. It has some carbs, but I mean, it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's what I say. The pump, you're getting more sets. You know, you're burning that 15 with more sets that you're doing anyways. But the biggest thing is their Protolite protein. So it's all natural ingredients. It dissolves
Mhm.
really well. So I like the marshmallow charms. There's actually marshmallows in it, and then they have a ice cream cone vanilla flavor that has like sprinkles in it. It's actual like waffle chips that are mixed in it. It's a little bit, but it gives you a little bit of a crunch. And then they have this mint chocolate chip one that has like little chocolate bits in it. And bro, it's so good. And I'm just having it in water. I look forward to it every day, 2 scoops post workout. Like I can't wait. Like I do my cardio faster, thinking that the time's going to speed up, but it doesn't, just to get that. But all the products that they have, man, are absolutely amazing. And you know, it's not just me promoting a brand; it's me representing a brand with real people and real products that I could be behind. As you know me, I have a lot of integrity and
Mhm.
very transparent about things. And if people are interested, they could use my code. It shreds. Even if you get one thing, try it out, tag me in it. I'll repost you guys. Let me know what you think. If you even you break down a review or whatnot, and the people that have done that already, they absolutely love it.
Yeah. And then your new board short sponsor as well, right? I think that one came to as a surprise to a lot of people. Uh,
So
so yeah.
absolute aesthetics. So Devin hit me up, and he's been very persistent. I'm like, I'm not looking for anything right now, and he's like, let me just send you out these shorts. So there was these blue ones that he sent me. I put them on. Maria goes, I like those. And they're the Fitment 15-inch. Um,
Mhm.
they're snug but not too tight, and it shows just the aesthetics, the X frame, and the pattern is super cool. I'm excited to show everybody these on stage, and I rarely ever wore blue, like a dark blue like that. I
Mhm.
think it's gonna pop. It really looks good, especially with the tan, and just it's gonna enhance everything else. And the band on it is actually black, so the waistband, and that always takes less emphasis off the waist. So the seams are black, and it's just like a blue color in the inside with a little pattern, and it's really dope. It's really dope. They got a lot of other colors. They got the voltage yellow, and I know I wore yellow last year to the O, and yellow is a color that really pops on stage if you got a dark tan.
Mhm.
There's an orange color. There's like a fuchsia pink color. He's definitely coming out with more. He's got oversized t-shirts. He's got tank tops, like jersey tank tops. He even does with Ryan Clark. He's on the team as well, and he had like the cards from the Olympia signed. So when people got his shorts, he sent that out with it, and it's pretty cool
Okay.
how he does
That's
that. So for the people that are
yeah.
fans and like that, I'm gonna definitely
Who
do a
buy it
collab
because of
with
your
that in the
code.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But also the shorts, and not even to compete in them, just to rock on the beach.
Yeah. So ultimately, was it? Do you know the owner personally? Like ultimately, what was it that had you choose them?
So he sent me hats before. He has a few businesses, and I he has like the hats, like the trucker hats that it's what do you call it? Velcro, and you could change like IFBB Pro. You could
Oh,
like
okay.
it's like the leg day with like the Pornhub logo. Like he has cool stuff.
Mhm.
And I liked it. I wore it on the podcast a few times with cool colors. I just like different stuff, man. When I go into a gym and everybody's wearing dark sport in Young LA, it makes me not want to wear dark sport in Young LA. I like to be my own type of person, but I also not going to just wear something because it's not known. I'm going to wear it because I like it. Like I'm with Now or Never as well. It's Sadiq's brand. Sadiq
Mhm.
is a really good friend of mine as well. He sends out, the clothes. I get pictures in them. And these are oversized. He always has a cool logo on it. Uh,
I like the now or never fit too. I bought one when I saw him up in the New York Pro.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
he's
fits me.
super cool, man. Just
Yeah.
I don't look at Sadiq as like, the bodybuilder, men's physique champ, the greatest followers, this and that. Like a lot of people do that. I don't look at status when I see people like that. I look at him as a great father, a great husband, a cool guy. He always acknowledges my girlfriend when she's there, gives her a hug.
Yeah.
Like he's just respectful. He sends me voice notes all the time. Just, good luck at the Olympia, man. He's just a really good, genuine guy, and he understands the sport, the mindset, the prep. Like what he sent me yesterday was just like literally nail on the head, man. He's like, I'm not gonna ask you how you feel because I know I've been there. I'm
Mm.
just gonna say good luck. And you don't even need luck. Just keep doing what you're doing. That hard work is the luck. Um, just a guy that reminds me a lot of myself, just being genuine and just not just telling people or asking people like, the questions that everybody else asks you. He just knows, but he's still. I'm not going to be that guy that reaches out to you after the show because a lot of people are
Dude.
like, I don't want to bother
Yeah.
you because you're an Olympia prep. Like he said that he's like, no, I'm going to reach out to you because you're a friend of mine, and I'm gonna tell you, hey, you're doing great, man. You're almost there, and
Yeah.
that goes a long way with me.
And yeah, and he took a lot of time to help even me. Like when we worked out together at Bev's, he came to the posing room with us and
Yeah,
took a lot of his own
that
time
was
to
an
give us
experience for you,
critiques.
huh?
That was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's cool. You got the perks. You got the perks that day. Got to meet Ali. We got to train together. Sadiq and Ryan Terry
Yeah.
were in there looking at us, and that's a cool thing, man. Like all these guys that I idolized when I was a kid watching on YouTube that got me into the sport. Like I could say that they're friends of mine now. Talk to
Yeah.
Ryan Terry like every couple days in the week. Ask him how he is. Ask how my girl is. Ask him how everything is going with him. And it's not even talking about bodybuilding. He's a very genuine guy. And when we're
He
in
is.
person, I mean, we don't even talk about bodybuilding. We talk about normal life stuff. And sometimes I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by just having fans like ask you questions that you're getting all the time, or and that's cool. But there's a time and a place for it. When I see him or Nick Walker, for example, and he's like, "Oh, that's why I like you because you don't treat me a specific way. You're not overbearing. You're not like." And I'm like, dude, I look at you as he's an absolute monster, but it's not like I'm holy shit, like just gawking all the time. And
Right. Another.
I talk to him like a normal dude, man. We talk about food like
Yeah.
24/7. I'll be like, hey, what do you eat at Cheesecake Factory? Hey, what do you think about that? You go, nah, fuck crumble. I don't like that. Like we just talk about food all the time. I go get that
Does,
Sandow. So then when we
does
get,
he
I'm
eat
gonna
off
take him
plant?
to, huh?
Does he eat off plant ever, or is he one of
No,
those guys? Yeah, I
dude,
feel like he's like a machine, right?
let me tell you something. He is the most strict person I've ever met. The things that he does, he's so strict, it's mind bending. People think that, takes all this gear, eats all this food. You would be absolutely mind blown. He's just a genetic freak.
He is. And this past year, I don't know what happened, but
He locked
he's
in.
been
He moved
getting
back home with his
insane.
parent. He moved back home with his parents. He locked in, and he just, all the stress went away. And he just kind of been talking, and he loves what he does, and he has a goal. And I believe this year he's going to achieve that goal. I believe it, man. When you talk to somebody and they tell you things like almost like they're trying to convince you that they're going to win. He
Hmm.
talks, and it's like I see it radiating off of him in his eyes all the way like to his spirit that he knows he's winning.
I definitely think he'll be top two. I think it'll be between him and Samson, and I think it'll be really interesting to see because they have like totally different physiques. That's one of those things where it's like it's hard to say who because it's like totally up to the judges which look they
It's
want.
always going to be if Samson is 100% on versus because Nick is never off. It just
Yeah,
added
he's
size.
fine.
It's going to come down to Samson. He has a more polished shape,
Mhm.
and he's taller, and he has that size factor.
Great
But
structure.
there's certain poses that Nick absolutely obliterates. But
I
there's
mean, his
also poses.
muscularity is just another level compared to.
Oh, I don't know if you ever seen him in person, but
He was actually there at what the LCM the day I went to.
he usually stays covered up. But if you see him pose, it makes no sense. You sit there and you're just like you don't comprehend it. You could keep looking and you don't comprehend it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it's really like it's like almost like going to a zoo and looking at a tiger really close and just being like, what the fuck? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm really really excited for Open because I think, I mean, even in Pittsburgh when he walked out, I was like, holy crap! Like
That's
that is
right.
something
That's
different.
right. That's right, man. Yeah, and I remember recording that, and and you could tell his stage presence, man. He gets so into that routine. He gets so
Yeah,
into that routine, and he just knows it radiates off of him, and
yeah. There's
that's
a
when you
couple.
know they have the passion.
Yeah, like him and Hadi when they come out and like when they hit their poses, you just know like they've run through that shit a million times. Like they hit
They're
it, they don't
different.
move.
They're
Yeah.
different. It's crazy.
And okay, so this I might cut this out because obviously we both know Alex personally. I don't want to say anything that might sound bad towards his brand, but well, why didn't you go with Manifest?
Biggest thing is we got a personal friendship. Um, and I don't feel like getting in a business like that is ever good for any sort of friendship,
Yeah,
whether you say it's not going to be personal or whatever. Because in the sport, things are constantly changing. And with where I'm at in my career, I still have bills. With the level that I'm at, I got to know my worth. And working with absolutes, uh, aesthetics, they took care of me, and
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing because it's not only getting paid, it's about them recognizing my worth.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing against Alex. It's more so just, he's still starting up. He's still getting it going. It's very successful. It's just a matter of, just don't want to, collide a relationship like a friendship with a business.
I think that makes sense. I think
That's
that's a
all
good
it
idea
is, man.
too.
Now
Yeah.
it's different. Like with you and I, when I started working with Physique, we developed a friendship.
Right.
So we weren't, it's not like being friends before and then going into it. Cause then it almost is like, well, is he just doing this because he's my friend? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, I get what you're saying completely. I think
Because a
that's
lot of
healthy
people
to think.
assumed I would be with Manifest because you do the podcast together, it would just fit. And I'm
Mhm.
like, so I teased it a few times, but I mean, it's just
Yeah.
how it was, I didn't really go into detail or depth about it and just, it's not personal. And he said that he's like,
Especially
oh,
when money's involved and yeah, you
yeah,
have to like negotiate
absolutely.
contracts and it's a little, it makes it a little tricky.
Yeah, and he understands, man. I understand. We're
Yeah.
all adults and we could communicate and he's got my back. He's a good friend. So one of the very few friends in this industry that I have. And last thing I want to do is overcomplicate it with anything.
Yeah. That makes sense. Has everything smoothed over with the Chula stuff? Has there ever been any resolution or did it just kind of fade off and you're just
So when I got
moving on?
on the podcast, I don't know if you watched it. I pretty much covered everything.
Mhm.
Did you watch it?
Was it like a recent one or one a while back?
It was when I just went over everything. I had
Yeah, no, I did.
notes. Yeah, so I pretty much just, there was two sides to every story. That's what people
Mhm.
kept saying. I'm like, well, there's not when you have the proof. It's
Yeah.
admissible. Like it's that's just what it is. And I showed that, and
Has there been
I
any
just
contact since then
no,
with them? Okay.
no.
Yeah.
It was just anything that she could say that would potentially scare me because she didn't like what I was saying. But before I do anything like that, I remember it. I remind myself that everything's recorded. I'm never gonna say anything that is going to put me in a situation that could potentially harm me. So
Mhm.
in my mind, I think about it from every possible scenario. Certain things that I say, certain things that I do, the way I go about things and handling it. And I just really thought about it and took notes for a couple days and got on there and I just said what I had to say and that was it because it's not just me, it was other people. And I just wanted to get that message clear. And then afterwards I was just done with it and then nothing
Yeah.
happened. There's a reason she can't say anything because if you were in that
That's
position and that was something you did to me, what could you say?
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Other couple how much more time do you have?
I could do 10 more.
Okay, 10 more minutes. All right, let's move down here then. Um So, what do you think the biggest game changers have been? So, like, throughout your career, you've had like a lot of times where you just kind of moved up another level, like from going to nationals to pro, from going to bottom pro to a pro show winner, and then coming to Olympian. So it's like at each of those levels, was there like a certain thing you kind of like recognized or learned or like figured out that helped you like kind of catapult to the next level, or was it just a slow, steady progression of doing the same stuff?
Yeah. So when I was in my off season, I would just fuck off. Usually it was like in prep, then 100%, then off season, reset, go out, have some
Mhm.
drinks with my friends, just not really follow a diet. Get like some like 3 or 4 normal meals in, but like last ones, maybe I'll have like a cake or something, go out, have some fried wings or,
Mhm.
have a few beers. And, my training was kind of like half assed, it was just kind of like they get the pump, get out. And, I just would get softer and I just wouldn't stay as hard. I would actually be lighter in my off season than in my prep, on my stage
Oh,
weight,
wow.
and I never really pushed gear in my off season. Like, it wasn't that I didn't know. It was just like kind of, hey, I'm just going to clear. My receptors will be fresh. And when I get back on, I'm going to grow into the show. And that's what I did. When I realized that, okay, I really want this, I stopped treating my off season the way that I was. And I
Mhm.
treated my off season like a prep. And I was
In what
just
year
at
did you start doing that?
I did this, well, after I was shot in 21, I had a little setback to where I started drinking a lot and I wasn't able to train. I was in a depression. I would say 22 after that season, I did Hurricane or I did San Francisco Pro and Hurricane. I was seventh at both of them, first ever first call outs. And then I'm like, okay, I got to taste the first call out. that made me, okay, I need to improve here. That was the
Mhm.
first time I was told, all right, you just need to be fuller, you need more size. And I blew up to about 230, and I was forcing meals, 6 meals a day, 7 meals a day. Just, it would be like add in like Fruity Pebble cereal to like my cream of rice. I was training really heavy, I added legs back in. I was just because my leg was atrophied on the left side. I just wanted to
Mhm.
get that movement back. My legs were blowing up, my chest, my arms, my shoulders, my back, like everything was really getting full. When I'm in my off season, I get really, really full. I was staying leaner too, because the more muscle I had, it was easier to get leaner. And then when I went into 2023 in April, that's when I came back and I was second to Daniel. I'm like, I had a good off season. That was the difference.
And so from 2022 onwards, you kind of year round became a thing.
Yeah. So just 3 years, but you look at the difference. The last 3 years, when I added in the right off season, I've made it to the Olympia all 3 years.
Yeah. No, I think that's like definitely something that I've learned this past like 2 years too is like, yeah, the years you have a good off season, I feel like I made more progress than like the last 5 years combined.
And off season, like good to people is just like dirty bulking and all that. Like all you
Yeah.
do is you progressive overload your training to the weak points that you have to improve. And at the same time, it's like the food. So you reverse right out of the show. And then you do, whether you start at like 200 grams of rice per meal and then stay on that for a week, your body adjusts, balances out, and then you go to 250. And then you build up to maybe you're like 300, 320, 350, add in some healthy fats like almonds, things like that, yeah, extra calories. You're going to stay tight because your protein's high, your carbs are clean. You got a weekly cheat. Like I always just did sushi because it was clean. It
Mhm.
didn't mess up my stomach. I avoided all fried food. I was never a fan of like burgers, but I wouldn't mind going to McDonald's and like fries or an apple pie or something like
Yeah.
that. But that's when it started to be like, okay, this is it, shit calories. But
Yeah. And when you keep things clean all the time too, it's like when you have that one bad meal, you can like see it like in
you
your
feel
physique.
it, and you could
Yeah, you
feel
feel it and
it.
you see it.
I just don't like feeling like shit, man.
Yeah.
Like that's the main thing. I just don't like feeling like after the show, you want to go eat all the sugar. What happens is you get the sugar rush. First thing that I do when I get off stage is I'll have a meal that I've been eating all prep. So if it's just chicken and rice, I'll have like 7 or 8 ounces of chicken. I'll have like 400 grams of rice, and I'll just add like 16 grams of peanut butter to it. It's filling my stomach with things that I'm familiar with,
Mhm.
and it's kind of coating me. And then if I go out to dinner and like 2 or 3 hours later, I'm still hungry, but I'm content and I have a full stomach because that whole day you're dehydrated, get your water in and all that too. So you can flush out some stuff. And then you eat a meal, still avoid fried food. So if it's like a steak or a potato or like, I like quesadillas, or go to Cheesecake Factory, get like a club sandwich or like a chicken sandwich,
Mhm.
grilled, and then do a dessert after. It's like, it does not bother me. And you're more conservative with it.
Yeah. And then as the years have progressed, do you also have to escalate PEDs or do you have to, can you generally keep it constant?
I
Like,
take
did you find a
less.
sweet spot? You
I
take
take
less now than
I
you did?
take less because the problem is I would just grow and I would get bigger and my weight would go up. Because I'm still adding. For Toronto, I didn't run any trend
Mhm.
um, for the show I am, but it's 10 milligrams a day. I'm just
That
gonna be
seems to be like
honest.
the new trend. Do you see any difference with that?
So the biggest thing is when you take like a lot, it's definitely gonna work. But then when you're depleted, you're gonna get to a point to where in that cycle, when it's built up like 6, 8 weeks, your body's going to start to stress internally. You may not know it, but it's going to start to stress. And because of that stress, it could have an adverse effect. So more isn't better. So pacing
Mhm.
it out, keeping the blood levels consistent at a lower dosage, because you're at a lower dosage with trend, you could potentially take a little bit more master on because then
Mhm.
you're not putting that much more strain on your central nervous system. So that's something that, we did, and it's been up and short of great. Last year for Olympia, I was taking like, I think 40 milligrams a day of tren.
Yeah, like that's more typical because that's like what, like yeah, 280 a week.
Yeah.
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 But yeah.
So, I mean, less. I mean, and I'm heavier and I'm harder and I'm tighter and I'm fuller. Tren pulls in more glycogen storage, gives you
Mhm.
that fullness. And I don't think I lack fullness, but we also added in a different type of oral that makes you very aggressive, and know you think I'm
If you
talking
know your
about.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's yeah, but anyways,
Yeah.
that has helped with fullness and hardness as well. And
Mhm. Yeah, is
you
that
get a
like 2
different
weeks
look.
out, 1 week out, 2 weeks
I've
out?
never done it before 2 weeks out.
Okay, but this time
Never.
you
This
added
is
it.
my first time doing it, and honestly, I just do it right before the gym. Gives me a little bit more aggression, gives me a little bit more
Mm.
energy to take it out in the weights. It wears off by the time I'm done after cardio. And so like train for an hour, do cardio for about an hour, and stretch, and then I'm out of there 2.5 hours. It's out of my system.
Have you tried,
Can you give
any
me
of
a
the
second?
new
Can you give me a second,
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Hey, babe, when you get a second, can you make my meal one? 8-ounce eggs, 2 whole eggs, and 70 grams oats. Just because I'm finishing up this pod, I won't have time. Thank you. Sorry, bro.
Nice. Have you tried like the new compounds that are everyone's trying, like retatrutide and SLU and things like that?
No, I don't need it. That
Yeah.
GPL or whatever the hell it is, dude, it would just make me flat because I wouldn't eat and I already struggle with food. My girlfriend calls me nuts. Like she thinks I'm crazy because she's like, nothing seasoned. I don't cook with oil. My chicken's overcooked and dry and my rice is dry. I don't even let her usually cook my food, to be honest with you. I got to see it with my own eyes because I question.
Yeah.
It's like, I just need to cook it my own way. Cat's out of the bag now for this one. But yeah, I mean, it's just, she thinks that like, I don't necessarily, I suffer in prep, but it's more so the fatigue of just being low in body fat, obviously. But
Mhm.
yeah, I never really had a
As far as the
problem with food.
hunger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still hungry, but it's always been manageable, bro. Like I wrestled
Mhm.
for 10 years and that's what I was known for before. I had scholarships for wrestling. I was really, really good. I was undefeated my whole sophomore and junior year. I was always cutting weight. And what I would do is I had to make 119 and I was like 132 and I'd have to make it for like a Friday meet.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't eat lunch Monday through Thursday. And I would go home and I would like have cereal with water. And I still liked it for the sugar, but then I would go to my weigh-ins, I would make it. And then, yeah, I did that every 2 weeks because we had meets every 2 weeks. And then if there's a tournament on Saturday, I just would not eat lunch uh, Tuesday to Friday. So it was like I'm
Jeez. Yeah.
cutting rapidly, what was it, 13 pounds? And I was already skinny as
Yeah.
a rail. Like it's different when you're like 220 pounds versus,
That's a big
you're
percentage of like 130.
132. Yeah. At 5'10" in high
Yeah, it's
school.
like 10% of your body weight.
Yeah. So that's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. I actually wrestled as well in the 125 weight class back then.
Oh
So
yeah. Were you good?
yeah, I was okay. I was like
Uh,
on varsity, but I wasn't like a state champion or anything.
what was your move?
I was a double leg guy and what's called the cement mixer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What do they call it? The banana split too now?
yeah,
Yeah, I like single leg sweep. I was always very quick and I could just do a fake and I would just do a single leg sweep, get the ankle or an ankle pick or fireman carry.
or the fireman carry.
Cradle was my move,
Cradle was the pin.
a front cradle. I always did it because I always had a really, really good grip. I always did push-ups. I had my school record for push-ups in high school and I did 201 and it
201
was
push-ups.
consecutive, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was also a cross country runner. I had crazy endurance. My 2 miles, fastest 2 miles in high school was 11:26. So I was
That's
up there.
yeah,
I have a 5:38 mile. And I mean it was something that I was never good at short distance. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do long distance. I'm
yeah.
white, so
Does it ever this so like, I used to do a lot of calisthenics and gymnastics. So I was pretty good on like the rings. I was could do like the iron cross and things like
you
that. Does it
you
ever get
look like
depressing?
you look like you could do that. You're built
I
like
think
it.
that's my
The
line.
gymnast, yeah.
Yeah. But does it ever get depressing like once that we get bigger and like looking back, it's like I can't do any of that anymore.
Yeah, the flexibility and, even getting on the floor to foam roll is hard. I'm like, oh, my
Yeah.
back. And I used to make fun of people. I'm like, oh, Dad, you're fine when I was wrestling. He's like, oh, we could do. Oh no, I can't do it. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
your joints, and then you're afraid. Like, and that's when you usually get injured. If I were to do that, my goal is to do some jujitsu. Get into that after bodybuilding. I got a buddy over at Swift Performance here, Sakib, and he's a small little guy. He's like,
Mhm.
150, 160, and he cuts to make weight. And he's like, yo, you got to do this, man. It's like
It's a lot of fun.
chess with your body, man. And I got pretty good ground game, but obviously there's a lot I need to learn because it's submission. But
And
it
it's like
gives me,
opposite almost
I
because like
like
we're
to
trying to go to your
learn
back.
yeah, I like to learn something from scratch and really test myself. with new things, and I find an interest in that.
Do you have like an age where you're wanting to be done with bodybuilding, competing?
As soon as I digress,
Yeah, I think that's a good
ultimately my
goal.
placings move back and they're like, hey, listen, you got to either move to classic or whatever. And I'm not going to be able to
So,
do classic. I got asymmetrical quads from my scar tissue and whatnot. So I wouldn't do anything in that. And I'd have to obviously take more and eat more food.
yeah,
And I personally just don't want to be that big. I
that's
just
kind of
want
my
to have
plan too.
I could still be aesthetic in classic, but I'm already uncomfortable in my off season, to be honest. And knowing that I would have to have my off season weight be my stage weight, don't want to do that.
Yeah. All right. So one last thing. So let's do top 8 predictions for men's physique and open.
Okay. So let's do open. I got Nick, Samson, Hottie, Derek, Martin, Andrew Jacked, Beiruz. Who else?
That's actually exactly the same as mine so far,
Okay.
except for Nick and Samson. I'm kind of questioning on,
Okay.
but
Yeah, that's all I got for that one. Obviously, if
eighth,
there's
there's like it could be Brandon, it could be Bonak, it could be Good Vito, it could
Bonak,
be
Bonak. He's harder. Good Vito looks dope, but he's hard, but he's not as balanced as Bonak. Bonak has that dry muscle maturity and the roundness.
yeah,
Um, Now men's physique, Ryan Terry, perfect score.
mine
Um,
too.
Brandon, Ali, Banks, Edvin, E-Man, Corey Morris, Vitor. That'd be top 8.
Let's keep going at 10.
Is
So we still
Diogo
have,
in this?
I don't think so. We still have Jeremy. Still have
I don't got Jeremy
uh,
in top 10.
we have Ben. We
I don't
have
have Ben top 10. It changed my opinion seeing how he looked next to Jeremy on stage because as soon as Jeremy walked off for preachers, he actually took a bet with Chris on the podcast and I said Jeremy's winning.
I thought
Uh,
so too.
yeah.
I thought he looked really big.
It's just the
Like up
balance.
to,
It's just more appealing. Your eye goes to it,
yeah,
and people want to dissect what back or this. Ben has long features, really, really tight waist. But one thing that I noticed about him is his waist is peeled, his core is peeled, but everything else kind of just looks softer, especially in comparison to somebody that's really, really hard and dry. Now, he is hard and dry, but it doesn't appear that way because he has thicker skin. If that makes sense, right?
yeah,
Because when he
and
loads up he has a Christmas tree. It looks dope, but it just
yeah,
looks soft. If you actually zoom into it, it looks soft.
yeah, and Jeremy was like very full, hard, and
And people said Jeremy didn't have conditioning. Jeremy was peeled, bro, and you could
he
tell
was
with the
peeled.
thin skin. He may
Yeah,
have not had as much detail in the core as Ben because he doesn't have the
I
most
think genetically
appealing
that's
abs.
also.
Yeah. He's Asian. He's got a longer torso.
Mhm.
He's got good obliques, but he's got like the weird 4 6 pack. I shouldn't say
Yeah,
it's weird, but it's just not traditional, like a
right.
traditional abdominal structure that's symmetrical, right?
See, what about Joe? Oh
Uzato,
yeah, yeah,
I'd have him like 11 through 15. He looks good, but I think it could be along the side of too bubbly and too full.
yeah.
Um, I would have Andre DU at 9.
Or do you? Yeah,
I might put myself 10.
right there. Yeah, I think that's fair. Um, yeah, I think I actually am pretty close to that too. Except I actually think Jeremy will do better. I think Jeremy will probably be
You know what?
someone
It
that's
is a
6 to 8.
chance, but there's a lot of guys that just have been really on this year, and I look at the top 10 with the backs, right? Like
Mhm.
Jeremy does not have the best back. I do not have the best back, but what I think is it's good enough because the fronts are so strong. But I feel like I have less gaps in my front than a guy like Jeremy. Regardless of what he's achieved in the sport, I have the utmost respect for him. But like I said, he's competing now and he looks great, but it's at the wrong time.
He has a very his shape is just so like unique. It's a very
Yeah.
special shape, special look.
He
So it really just
poses and
depends.
makes his waist look small. The way that he manipulates it looks really, really sick.
Yeah. So I guess it just comes down to if the judges, because another thing I was surprised about is because his midsection is not like the most genetically strong. I thought that might be a reason they'd pick Ben just because his midsection is very good.
Yeah.
But that kind of surprised me too, because that just kind of shows that the judges aren't maybe midsections not being the only thing they look at least.
Yeah.
It's not the defining factor as much
Well, it
as we
needs to be
thought.
clear across the board. Like another thing is Ali, he looks great. His front shot is great. But Brandon wasn't at the Olympia last year. Brandon is more comparable to Ryan Terry
I
because
think
of
so.
balance and because of taper, because of fullness. And Ali may have a better core, but Brandon is just as tight with just a different genetic frame in the core.
He's a great core too.
Yes,
You
it
know, it's not
is
like the
great,
core's a
but
weak point.
I think that Ryan Terry and Brandon are going to be more comparable because
Yeah, I
Brandon still has a better back than Ali, in my opinion,
think so
even though
too.
people give him shit. But Brandon's front, I do think that it's going to expose the fullness and the shoulders and the width on Ali, and he's more filled out around here with a
Mhm.
smaller waist that's still a crazy core. So I think that that's going to be more of a, like Brandon said, it's going to expose Ali a little bit more than even last year. And Ali's improved, but Brandon is blazing, bro. Brandon
He
is
is.
absolutely insane right now. Like he's got something to prove, and I don't think it's anybody else. I think it's for himself because he wants this, and he truly believes that he could win because he's beat all these guys. You know,
Yeah.
and Ryan's the same way. He's set the standard here. But the best Ryan Terry ever looked, who pushed him in 23.
Yeah, but it was Brandon. Yeah, him and Brandon, they look good next to each other. Like they do look very comparable. Yeah, and but the only thing of it is like I just don't understand what carried Ali to that second spot in the first place because there are always been guys that with better tapers and better backs and
Mhm.
so like what exactly is it about him that you think puts
He
him at
has the
second?
wow factor, like Tyler said, best core in the IFBB. And well, him and Hadi, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I think that when he comes out, he has that wow factor. But to me, it's about being complete. And Ryan Terry has that complete look. That's why he won. Um, Ali does have a very good look on stage, but still to
Mhm.
me, it seems like there's something missing for him to beat a guy like Brandon. He's still going to be in the conversation, but I think
Mhm.
like he's already broke that threshold of being in that top two without Brandon there. But with Brandon there, like I said, I think that it's going to be not as comparable. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I don't think
No,
Ali's going to
I
be
agree.
as comparable to Ryan Terry because I think Ali needs to go through Brandon. Ali has never beat Brandon before. And I have a feeling it's Brandon's best ever.
He looked great in China, so I'm sure he just tightened up a little bit more from there.
His
Yeah.
lower back was the best I've ever seen it.
Yeah. And then, all right, last thing, who do you have top winning classic? Just who do you have winning? I think that's
Terrence,
a tough one too. Terrence?
Terrence, Mike, if he gets to compete for this
Mhm.
controversy, and I'd say Ramon or Josema.
The only thing is, yeah, I really like Jose Mas physique.
His quad sweep came up, and he's a taller guy,
Yeah.
and it's not just conditioning. He has a really crazy back
He's
pose,
freaky.
and
Yeah.
I think his back pose with his hamstrings and everything. Dino looks great, but it's hard to gauge how he's going to come in by last year's spillage. And you're only
Mhm.
as good as your last show, in my opinion.
That's the only thing that's holding me back from because the year before that, Ramon was like it was like Chris and Ramon and then everybody else.
Urs is out, so that's why,
Yeah.
with Josema moving up and Josema pushing Terrence, he was next to Terrence, and Terrence, his structure, man, is absolutely
His
insane.
structure's incredible.
It's not,
Yeah.
you don't even gotta say it's a classic structure. There's just no gap. There's no gap.
Yeah.
His posing, his presentation, his angles, it's just so complete. Mike has a really good look as well, but
Yeah.
I think he kind of has like the Derek Lunsford like bicep
Mm.
to me.
Yeah.
It's long and full and it looks good if he does side chest. But I feel like when he hits a front double, it just doesn't peak. Like Terrence has that Robbie Robinson bicep peak. He might be a smaller guy, but it doesn't matter because he's a smaller guy with tall guy features.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think it could hold him back. But the thing is, he's not competing against a Chris. He's competing against Mike, who's also shorter. That's yeah,
How short is Mike though?
that's the question. We'll find
Yeah.
out. But yeah, hey, thanks for coming on. Especially 4 days out. I'll see you in a couple days and Friday at the ProSeek booth.
Yeah. You want to give
Uh,
him some information on that before we get out of here?
yeah, absolutely. So ProSeek will be at the Olympia booth 762. We're gonna have a lot of Olympians who are competing at the booth. We will be there on Friday. So you signed up from 12 to 2. Does that still work?
12 to 2. 12 to 2. Yeah.
Okay.
For
So
some
Drew will be
reason, I
there.
thought 2 to 4, but I got to
Okay.
12 to 2 work. 12 to 2 works because I got my tan at 5:30 and I got to shave. So I'm going to do it earlier in the morning and then I'll be able to chill and, whatnot. So,
Okay. And 2 to 4 works too. Just let me know which one works better for
okay.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I told a few people 2 to 4, but when my parents get in that morning, they're going to come by. You can meet them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll pan it out. If we'll play it by ear.
Okay.
I'll definitely let you
Uh,
know before, but I will be there. I will be there at noon regardless.
okay. Yeah. So Drew will be there at the booth 762 Friday around noon. And at the ProSeek booth, we're going to be we have a full custom Olympia backdrop that people could take and like a photo booth. So you'll be able to take pictures there. We're giving out free t-shirts and ProSeek bags. Our app just launched, so we're having people download the app and you get a free t-shirt. But very excited for it. And after the Olympia, I think, Drew, are you planning on pushing your coaching or anything like that anymore, yes, we'll definitely
Let
get
everybody know where to be now that this app is launched and live. And I'm excited to answer any of the questions that you guys have and how to get access and what ProSeek offers for you guys. And you get to see me right before I compete on stage. So even if I'm depleted, get a picture with me, say what's up, tell me your why you're into bodybuilding, why do you love bodybuilding, why are you at the expo, who you're supporting, who do you have winning. I want to know these things. These are things that when I started, I was a fan first, and it led me to where I'm at now. So you never know who's going to be the next person that may compete at the Olympia one day. So definitely honored and grateful to represent ProSeek. I think it's going to be something huge, and yeah, just excited to see everybody.
yeah. And you said you're flying in tomorrow?
Yep, tomorrow early in the morning.
Okay. Yeah, I have to leave in a couple hours to the airport now, but
Okay, brother.
uh, it was great talking to you, man. Take
You
care.
too, man.
Well, I'll
All
see
right,
you
man.
soon.
Safe flight.
All right. You too. Bye.